Hello everyone. Today, I'm going to show you the method I used to upgrade a bike with an old 1-inch head tube to fit a modern oversized fork with a 28.6mm 1-1/8 steerer tube. If your favorite bike has a 1-inch head tube, you probably know how frustrating it can be to find spare front forks with a 1-inch steerer diameter. They're getting harder and harder to come by. The bike you see on the screen right now is a 16-inch wheel mini velo. It's based on a frame called the Beatrice Bob, designed in the late 90s by a company called Nintendo. The frame design and head tube standard follow the older generation's specifications. I spent a lot of time desperately searching for a front fork that would fit without altering the bike's geometry, but I never managed to find one. Eventually, I gave up on finding a 16-inch fork compatible with the old 1-inch standard and came up with a different idea: upgrading the head tube itself. This approach requires some skill, creativity, and a bit of budget, but once you can use a 28.6mm fork, all the problems are solved, and future maintenance becomes much easier. The first step was to measure the inner and outer diameters of the MINIBEAST head tube. The measurements showed that if I made a ring with an outer diameter of 38mm and an inner diameter of 34mm, I could press fit an oversized headset into the frame. Since an oversized fork steerer has a diameter of 28.6mm and the original 1-inch head tube has an inner diameter of 30mm, this leaves a clearance of just 0.7mm on each side. It's a very small gap, but as long as the conversion ring is rigid enough, this clearance is sufficient. So, I designed the conversion ring in a 3D modeling program to be both strong and visually clean. Here is the Blender model of the conversion ring I created. As you can see, there's a 2mm thick, 30mm inner diameter shoulder in the center. This step is crucial because when the ring is clamped between the headset and the head tube, it prevents the ring from slipping or deforming under preload. By integrating the head tube, conversion ring, and headset into one solid unit, I achieved a very strong and stable assembly. I designed the press fit section to be 10mm tall on the top and 8mm on the bottom. This is because different headsets have different stack heights, and I wanted to allow for both configurations. This diagram shows the cross section of the ring I drew. Here's what it looks like after installation. Without the step inside the ring, long-term stress and vibrations could cause the ring to shift over time. If there were no step, the ring would need to be glued in place with epoxy. But with this design, glue isn't necessary. And if you ever want to remove the ring, you can simply use a flathead screwdriver and a hammer to tap it out. Back in 2003, I studied 3D computer graphics at a technical college, so I have a solid foundation in both the basics and advanced techniques of 3D modeling. For me, creating the CAD data itself wasn't difficult at all. The real challenge was actually manufacturing the part because that requires expensive machining equipment. So, I sent the CAD data to a professional machining company in Kyoto, Japan, called Agency Assist Co., Limited. This company has worked with over 3,400 businesses across various industries, including manufacturing scientific research equipment for national universities. Their track record gave me full confidence in their reliability. They also accept small-scale orders from individuals, so I commissioned this part as a private project. The production cost was about $58 since I provided my own CAD data, which helped keep the price low. The finished part arrived at my home within about 3 weeks. The precision was excellent, and there were absolutely no issues with installation. Before installing the ring, I removed the chrome plating from the head tube using an electric grinder. Normally, you'd use a proper headset press tool to install the conversion ring, but since I wanted to save money, I used a rubber mallet and a wooden block, tapping it in little by little. Thanks to the chromoly frame material and the step I designed in the center of the ring, the installation was secure and precise. I installed the headset the same way using a hammer and a wooden block, gently tapping it in. After pressing it in, the rigidity was excellent with no play or misalignment whatsoever. The main goal of this modification was to replace the heavy, stiff spring fork with a lightweight carbon rigid fork, to maintain the original geometry as much as possible. I carefully selected the right fork. A 22-inch carbon fork from AliExpress turned out to be the best fit. I've been assembling my own bikes since 2011, so installing the fork itself was no problem at all. Of course, the high-precision machining work by Agency Assist Co. Limited was a big reason everything went so smoothly. After assembling the bike, the total weight including the front light, bell, tail light, pedals, and cycle computer came to exactly 11 kilograms. It's light enough to lift with 2 fingers. For a mini velo, this is an average weight, and it also falls within the typical weight range for gravel bikes. The bike could be made even lighter. Based on my calculations, the weight could be reduced to as low as 9.22 kilograms. But I don't want to sacrifice durability, so I won't go that far. However, the tires still have significant room for weight reduction. Currently, the combined weight of the front and rear tires and tubes is 1,080 grams. By switching to lighter 305 size tires and TPU tubes, I could reduce the weight by about 600 grams, bringing the total bike weight down to 10.4 kilograms. Now it's time to check the feeling after the modification. The difference compared to the stock setup is obvious. The bike feels much better. It accelerates more smoothly, and the handling has become sharper. Even with the relatively heavy tires, the bike feels more agile. I also tested the handling on descents, and there were no issues with stiffness or responsiveness. Everything felt solid and precise. I performed a full front-wheel braking test right before entering a corner to see if the conversion ring could withstand the disc brake's ease-stopping power. There was no sign of judder or unusual noise. In other words, this test proved that the conversion ring is both safe and reliable. This fall, I plan to go on a 70 kilometers ride to see how much the fatigue level has changed compared to the stock configuration. Wishing everyone a great cycling life. I'll keep sharing more bike projects and tips, so if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.